Buckie Leach, you for many years had a reputation of being a real, how would you say, disciplinarian or a real hard, strict coach, right? And you've softened over the years. Is that age, or what has brought about that change?
You know, I spent a lot of years being tough, okay? And I think that tough is putting it kind of kindly. You might say like borderline abusive. And I think I was so driven then that I thought that was the way that you had to do it. And as I got older, I started to realize that those athletes who I was pushing like that would have done that anyway. A lot of people say, have people say to me, yeah, but they were so good. Okay, you did such a great job with them. Well, I think I could have done just as good a job without having been that. To be an effective coach, I need to have passion in my coaching. So that can't go away. So for me, it's very difficult to the line between being passionate and being like overly aggressive. It's a nice way to put it. Overly aggressive, right? Is difficult. So it's a balance. So I kind of backed away from it and realized that this wasn't necessary. And I think that there were a few therapists in Rochester who I kept employed with by continuing my fencing program, and it made me realize that something had to change, and kind of woke me up to the fact that I didn't need to be that to be a good coach. I still am. I'm not a nice guy all the time. I'm still tough on people, and I have expectations. You wouldn't say that I'm a all positive coach, but certainly not the coach that I was. And it was important for me to change.
During a time here in the United States, maybe even globally, a lot of people talk about the softening of our coming generations. Do you feel like that in any way? I mean, do you see that in your athletes? Do you see where 15 years ago the athletes were harder, tougher, and more receptive to kind of that only one winner mentality, or from your perspective, is everything still the same?
No, it's changing. I think a couple things. One is everything is very positive. Okay, our school system is very positive. Everything is that's good. Let's do it better. Sport can't always work that way. I mean, it does, but in education, everybody is there to help you get better. So if you're a good student and you take exams, the goal of the education system is for you to get better. In sport, there's somebody trying to not let you get better, somebody who's trying to beat you all the time. It's not when you go to take your SATs, you don't have to fend off somebody who's trying to take the pencil away from you or try to steal your paper or knock you down or bother you or harass you during it. So, you need to, it's a different world, sport. So you need to be a little bit tougher. You need to be a little stronger. I think sometimes, I originally thought that people were getting lazier, but I think what's happening is it's getting harder and harder to get into schools. People are studying more, they're spending more time with homework. Schools are giving enormous amounts of homework. I don't think that I ever got that much homework, and if I did, I'm not sure that I would have ever even done it. But it wasn't the same. These kids are staying up till midnight, 1 o'clock doing work, getting up at 6 o'clock to go to school, and they don't have as much rest. When I first moved to Manhattan, I thought, kids are coming in and saying they're tired. I was never tired when I was a kid. I was either awake, running around doing crazy stuff, or I was sleeping. But the idea of being tired never was there. But as I went on, I realized that they are tired, and because their lifestyles are so wrapped up in school, and there's so many two working families with both parents working. They're not eating the same way. They don't sit around a table and have a meal. Nobody's keeping an eye on what they eat. They're not eating as much. So on top of not getting as much sleep, their diets aren't as good. So they are tired. But I think that the work ethic has dropped off a little bit. I think that athletes that we used to work with were more willing to put out more. They were more willing to do extra things. So I think a lot of kids now, whatever you tell them to do, they'll do. But but they don't always do that extra thing. People would say I read Magic Johnson's book, and he said, how long should you practice? And he said, you practice until it's too dark to see the basket anymore. And that doesn't really exist so much. I don't see it as much anymore. People don't go home and do extra things as much as they could. And the ones who do that are the ones who become champions. But it's a tough world when you have to balance that schoolwork and training, because the schoolwork is so much more of it.
As there's this, kind of drop off in maybe a willingness or even scheduling availability to put in that extra work, how is it that, across the board in sports, that we continue outdoing ourselves? Fencing is evolving rapidly.
Yes, yeah.
And we have, athletes that are just shattering records, in spite of this kind of, lightening of maybe.
It's interesting. I speak to European coaches a lot, and their reason, they always see that Americans believe that they can do anything. Okay, that they're always believe in themselves, and they always believe they can do more, and they're never tied to any structure with that. Like, why can't the idea? Why can't we do that? Where sometimes Europeans they observe a hierarchy of things. We're just willing to say,
let's go to the moon.
Yeah, that's it. And there's no reason we can't. And that's one of the reasons they give. So I think that you have a lot of athletes who are doing that. And I think also our coaches are very, very good. We have, in this country now, we have so many coaches. Eastern European, Egyptian, European, American, so many more American coaches than there used to be. So, and we have limited time. So we train with specificity, we train effectively, because we don't have 7 hours a day to have our athletes. We have to accomplish what we can in a 2-hour period, so we have to find a way to teach well. And because a lot of countries, if you have an athlete for 7 hours, you can make a lot of mistakes. Right? You might not have to be the best coach, and if you have a time to learn and to make errors. You only have them for 2 hours a day, 3-4 days a week. You have to make your coaching be good. So you have to think about it and find a way to be effective.
All right. Well, Coach, you've certainly found a way to do that. Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right. That's it.
Oh.